My name is Gareth Skelding. I had the privilege of being the location manager on this episode.
I am Russell T. Davies. I'm one of the writers and the executive producer of Doctor Who.
And I'm Peter McKinstry. I'm one of the concept designers on Doctor Who.
Hooray. And here we are.
Yeah.
And this is going to be the best podcast ever in history. No pauses, no longers, no wistful sighs. We're going to be brilliant.
Straight into it with a bit of action.
Absolutely. It's actually very rare for all of us to be together like this, actually, because it's normally email relationships that we have.
It is, yeah.
I will get drawings off Peter at 2 a.m. saying, this sort of spaceship? And I say,
Has
no.
to be done.
And then I get photos from the directors of where Gareth's been looking for locations.
Speaking of which, we've got a great spaceship coming up in this episode, I think.
There is a good spaceship. Don't give it away yet.
Okay. Steady.
We fussed over that one. There's lovely stuff in this. I mean, we can talk about, I know we're still on the update at the moment, but the factory where this was filmed, the quarries, our first Doctor Who quarry.
Wow. Well, we tried to avoid it for a long, long time, but it caught up with us in the end, and we found a fantastic quarry to eventually do this one in.
It did. And the best title sequence in the world. Hooray. So yes, also to come interesting stories about deleted scenes.
Really?
Snow scenes.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Extra scenes in the car. Oh, the facts you will learn, dear viewer, about this. He said, padding madly during the title sequence, because I've only done 27 commentaries. What more do you keep on saying during the title sequence? Peter, keep your clothes on. Just keep going. It is the best title sequence in the world.
It is.
Lovely Matt Jones. So here we are, cliffhanger resolution. Oh, nothing's happening at all. The roof just closes on the black hole. That's the mill adding the bullet shots there.
They are so clever in that mill.
They are
Very,
beyond
very clever people.
That's cool.
If you look at that roof, though, when the roof's open, how do you get through door one? You know
That's
what I
a
mean?
very good point, yeah. It telescopes. That's what it is.
Right, yes, it concertinas.
Yeah, that's the word.
That's the phrase. So half of this is in a factory in Pontypool.
Yeah, an old reclaimed chemical works up in Pontypool that we were very, very lucky to stumble on. We spent weeks looking for the perfect location, found one, and then 2 days before our technical recce, we found it was riddled with asbestos.
Oh, was it?
So we found a frantic search, and we found an even better place in Pontypool, which welcomed us with open arms.
Pontypool is the ballroom where Rose and Jefferson and Danny are at the moment. This is all the studio sets, the rest of it.
This is all in Q2.
Our old studio.
Yeah.
How do you find a factory in Pontypool?
There are not many that are non-operational anymore. There's some great architecture up there, but this one just stuck out saying, come and find me.
But do you just drive past it? And
You do. You drive
Really?
past it and call in these various site offices and ask them what might be empty and ride your luck from there.
It's great, isn't it? It's one of Ed Thomas's, our designer's, key concepts for this was bulldozer yellow. You know,
Yeah.
the whole...
Yeah, absolutely. Industrial, keeping it real all the way.
works, doesn't it?
It does.
Oh, what happens with Peter? It's like when... Because I don't know these things. I'm not asking for the sake of the podcast. When he's there with a script, you've all got a script. Does he allocate who does what then? Does he say, Peter, you're in charge of Rocket?
Yeah, what we tend to do, we try to play to everybody's strengths. So, like, for example, we have Ian Bunting on the team now, who's a concept designer who works in 3D.
We don't talk about him, though.
No, we don't mention him. But, he comes from a car design background, so he was very good with a lot of industrial stuff. So, it's like I say, it's really playing to everybody's strengths. So, for example, I ended up doing a couple of things like the helmet and the bolt gun and...
Did you do the helmet? I didn't know that.
I did, yeah. We were originally going to use... it was going to be like a fishbowl type thing. But we decided to augment a helmet that we were able to buy in.
There was a lot of hard work for Louise on costumes.
Yeah, that's true.
Just as she's running out of money at the end of the series, she said, oh, by the way, they have spacesuits. And she made me swear that no more than 3 people would ever go in a spacesuit, which I cut down to 2 in the end, can I say?
Yeah.
But I think at various points, everyone was getting in a spacesuit.
NASA were contacted, I believe.
Hey?
Yeah, NASA were contacted.
They were, that's right.
Yeah.
I think these suits actually came from America, didn't they?
I think NASA were like 10,000 quid per suit or something. We were like going, well, maybe we'll just use a photo of one. Thank you very much. And the lovely Quarry, Gareth.
Yes, so it was. The Quarry that was in... it was March. We sort of thought we'd scheduled a nice clear week of weather. but then came the snow. What do you do? Does it snow on other planets, Russell?
Yes, interesting story about this, because we knew right from the start, we sort of thought, right, we'll have to go to a quarry. I love this story. We'll have to go to a quarry. But what happens if it rains? What the hell will we do? So we had some dialogue specially written for rain, and it would be that they would go underground to the cavern, and on those wide digital map paintings, you would actually see clouds inside the cavern, and it would have been raining. And so there was a whole page of dialogue written about, with Ida sort of explaining, oh, they've got zoltonic gases. And it was nice because it was poisonous. It was raining poison. So she was sort of saying it's an impossible planet, and we're orbiting a black hole, and it's raining poison inside the planet. It was actually really good stuff. And then, lo and behold, we got to the quarry, and it wasn't raining, it was snowing. So they changed all that dialogue to rain to snow. It's snowing poison down on us. And we did actually film a whole great big long scene in the snow of the snowing down that I absolutely promise you will be included on the DVD box set, because I've sent a memo saying to our branding people saying we must include that scene. So, and it's brilliant. It's the Doctor and I walking along. It's in episode 8 actually, when they first arrive at the pit. They're walking towards the pit up there. I think it's that. Or was it this episode? And they're carrying the cable towards the pit. I can't remember. We covered ourselves
they
always.
Don't call it the Impossible Planet for nothing.
It's true, impossible dialogue.
Yeah.
But it was all written to allow for that, because unfortunately they shot that one scene in pouring snow, but that was it. And then it stopped snowing, so we never needed to use it in the end, and we got away with. Is it like, what's health and safety like getting a quarry?
Well, in a working quarry, it's absolutely. I mean, we were the day before we moved in. They blew a whole rock face away. So 100,000 tons came down just to within yards of where our technical vehicles were going to be parking.
We should have been filming then.
We should.
I'd have written that in. I could have explained explosions.
We've spent a fortune on special effects, and we could have had some for nothing there. But no, they embraced us at that quarry on the outskirts of Cardiff. It was, and it was just absolutely fantastic.
Yes. You, Gareth and Peter, you haven't seen this episode, have you?
No, not yet. It's very impressive.
This is why you're
Very
gaping in
quiet,
awe.
yeah.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's incredible, yeah.
Those map paintings by Alex Fort and by another gentleman whose name's on the end credits, and I can't remember it now, I'm afraid. It's also well coordinated with the colours down below and the colours upstairs.
It's a nice contrast going on.
This factory was freezing.
It was freezing.
I was there for half an hour. That was enough.
It was as many heat as we could put in there. It would just swallow it up. It was that vast, and it was. Everyone came out off the back of the night shoot from the snow to go inside a factory, and it was even colder in there. The poor crew, they worked so hard. They had more coats on inside the factory than they did outside in the snow.
It was weirdly cold because it was March. I came there for an afternoon. I was taking a visitor on set, and it was like, I couldn't believe it.
And the weather outside was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
But inside it was like a fridge.
Oh, it was satanic.
This is freaking me out now. I have to say.
It's not bad, this episode. It's borderline scary. But good. We love the Ood.
Yeah.
They were, here's a funny story. I keep saying that and they're not funny at all. I'm like breaking the Trade Subscriptions Act. But for many drafts, for like about 6 or 7 drafts, for about 6 months, it was the Slitheen.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. It was because Matt Jones wrote the very first draft with no monsters in it at all.
Uh-huh.
And it's funny, we all sort of thought the same thing. We came to a script meeting and it was like, and he came in sort of saying, oh, it's lacking something. And we came in saying, oh, it's lacking something. And it just needed a monster. And he said, I did not force this lead upon him, I swear to you. He said, much as I love them and want them in everything, in my own personal life, he said, well, can I have the Slitheen? And can you imagine now if this had had the Slitheen running around these corridors? It would have been a nightmare.
A very a bizarre fact that when we first found the quarry in Wenvo, the Land Rover that drove us down, the Land Rover that Gray and the quarry manager owned, its number plate ended in OOD.
No.
Yeah, which was an absolutely bizarre thing.
Oh, that's weird.
It is.
Because when we jumped the Slitheen then, it's like, because we'd set aside a certain amount of budget to refurbish the Slitheen. And I had to send this email at about 2 a.m. to Neil Gordon, who makes the monsters, saying, for the amount of money that it would have cost to refurbish the Slitheen, can you do us 10 identical heads of a clone race so they'd all look identical? You know, none of the Ood look different from each other. And bless him, he was marvellous and said yes. So that's how the Ood came into existence.
What's really impressive about the Ood, I reckon, is, up close and personal, just as strange as when you see them on screen.
Yes, they are, actually. They're weirder.
They've got the
actually.
ooze and they've got the wrinkles and...
And you don't know how to talk to the person inside it, do you?
No, you don't know where you're aiming.
No, and you don't know what to say because they look ridiculous.
Wow.
There
Hello.
it was. Now, last week I did my one and only bit of censorship on Doctor Who, was because that shot of the Beast there actually ended last week's trail, the episode 8 trail going to episode 9. We played the trail after the end credits, and we went that shot of the Beast, and then it just cut to BBC Wales, and it was terrifying. It looked fine in the office, and I took it home and I was playing it at night. And suddenly this Beast screams at you, and I was like, whoa, that is, out of context. In the drama, it's really, really exciting, and you're about to see even more of it now, soon. But it's the only thing I've ever gone, actually, that's too scary, because if you were 6 years old, that just leaves you in a state of terror for a whole week, and you're sitting there dying. I took action. I sent memos. Oh, I was blistering. Should have seen it.
Those days of picking up a phone have gone. It's emails and memos now, isn't it?
Anymore now, exactly. That's our email relationship. What I do love about this as well is Sean Parks on that set. Sean Parks playing Zachary Cross Flane, on board the control centre, had about 2 days on that set on his own. And he sort of went insane because he spends an awful lot of this episode just talking to the others on the intercom. Oh, here comes the cable. Good, isn't it?
It's great. It's one of those... it's not obviously CGI, but it is CGI.
Yeah.
You can just see it, and it doesn't take you out of the story at all.
At this point, it was nearly 3:30 a.m. We were trying to get the day in, and it was raining. And what was happening where we'd placed the capsule, the quarry was holding the water, so it was flooding. So they were 6 or 7 trying to pick up the capsule and scuttle it along 5 yards to get it out of the huge puddle.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God! And it's a big old thing, isn't it?
It is a big old thing. Thanks for designing that, Pete.
No, I honestly can't take the blame
Were
for
you
that.
capsule
That was,
man?
No, that was Ian Bunting.
You were sending me drawings of the shape of the base, though, weren't you?
Yeah, we were having a look at various different sort of themes for the base, and I think what was decided was to make it kind of almost flat pack kit form kind of base, keep it very real, and tone down the kind of overtly sci-fi stuff.
Yes. But isn't it shape like the shape of the writing?
Yes, it is. It's very, very...
See, I remember I read your emails.
Yeah. And a lot of that, to be honest, that's down to Arwell Jones, the art director for this.
We don't give Arwell credit for anything.
No?
No, just...
Okay.
He start demanding things. He's a nightmare.
Well, he twisted my arm before I came in.
He's brilliant.
He
He's
is.
a brilliant
Fantastic.
man.
But he made sure that, when you see the exterior, it all makes sense to what's going on inside.
It's good because on the graphics, in the episode of graphics, where you see the graphics of the shaft going down to the heart of the planet, you see a little layout at the base, and it does look a bit like the lettering. It's a clever idea. Like it was all predestined.
Yes.
Now we did, and I'm sure they've said this on the episode 8 commentaries, of course, we haven't heard, but, the last thing we wanted on this was glossy Star Trek corridors. We wanted everything dirty and oily and...
Very industrial.
Yeah, the fact you have to turn a wheel to open the door, they don't just slide up, was...
Yeah, it was science fact instead of science fiction. That was kind of the phrase that we were all bouncing off each other.
It was, wasn't it? And it worked.
Yeah, we went out with, looking for really old plant and machinery and old factories, not the more modern thing that have cleaned up, but the real old wheels and the pulleys and all that sort of thing.
I think it's a key Doctor Who feature. It's something we do a lot, and I think there's a nice... I keep on saying it's a bit of a retro, bit of a hand-built and even sometimes slightly old-fashioned feel, because we're not Star Trek. Star Trek, Stargate is very glossy, and they're meant to be because they're military shows. You believe that the organisation in Stargate would have put a lot of money into building their base, whereas Doctor Who's a more ramshackle world somehow. It's a bit more... He doesn't spend as much time with the bosses, he tends to spend time with the workers in a way. More hands-on world.
Speaking of which, the stuff that's segueing between the studio stuff in Q2 and the factory, it's seamless, to be honest.
It's nice, isn't it?
It fits both together. Lovely.
A quarry at night. How mad were we?
Mad, very mad. Phil Collinson, the producer, made a very, very brave... We looked at a quarry in Treville, which is 20, 30 miles from Cardiff, and at the foot of the Brecon Beacons.
Yes.
And he made the very brave call. It looked fantastic, very photogenic, but to travel that far and be in the foot of the Brecon Beacons in March, you were really risking the whole show. And as it turned out, there was a lot more snow up there than there was with us in Cardiff.
Was there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, right. It's worth pointing out, people don't realise, I think, sometimes, that when a location is an hour away, that's part of your filming day. If your day starts at 8 o'clock, you start driving at 8 o'clock. So you get there at 9, and it adds. And then at the end of the day, you've got to come back as well. So the distance away, you lose filming time.
You do.
All you have to maximise on set is the time you've got the camera turning on people. And it's a nightmare. And I remember, because we did even talk about doing day for night, and I was cringing, going, please. You know, I wouldn't blame any producer for deciding that on this sort of schedule, I have to say, but so I couldn't hand on heart sit there and say, I forbid day for night, as if I had the power to do that anyway. But I was cringing, going, oh, please don't pretend it's nighttime and a daytime Quarry. That would just be so lethal.
But I think it went the right way, and it looked spectacular. We really, with the weather that we had, we really come through it shining the other end, I think.
Yes. I remember endless discussions about when Toby's out on the surface in episode 8 about how we'd be blinded if we turned a wind machine on her Quarry and let an actor stand there. It's all very well saying he'll survive standing on an alien planet. He wouldn't survive standing in a Welsh Quarry. I don't know. So we'd have the wind machine way behind him blasting away.
And not just the artists, you've got 50, 60 crew around, all having to wear safety goggles and helmets in case that wind machine did kick up any dust or any little bits of grit.
Yes. Nightmare.
It's a sight seeing 70 crew in safety goggles at 4 a.m.
You never get enough credit to on this show. It's actually BBC Wales Graphics, because the mill does all our digital stuff, but computer stuff, I think the stuff that appears on computer screens is BBC Wales Graphics, and I think they do a lovely job. Every episode has a different style, and we're always making drama. We're always sending it back. Going, no, can you do this? Can you do that?
Yeah, and there is a huge amount of graphics in all of the episodes.
It gets more and more, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Torchwood is like immense in terms of graphics. Which you will have to watch, dear viewer, to see.
The funny thing about these helmets, if you look, they are magnifying the actors' faces a little bit.
Do they?
Yeah,
it's a bit of just. I thought it was the light.
We tried them on in the office, and everybody's face kind of distorted horribly. There's some pretty nasty photos.
No, Peter, they just said that to you.
Yeah.
That was you. Oh, look.
Hello.
Beautiful. So much trouble with that drum cable, because really it's only got enough cable on it there to go down about 10 feet. So I think it's sort of science fictionally elasto cable that stretches as he goes down into the pit. Oh, there was many nightmares over that, and art department tears and things like that. It was all just, it was a nightmare in that Quarry, getting stuff, and you see there, it's very slack there. It's funny, because on that shot where the wire looked very slack going to the edge of the pit, because it's a steel wire, that is actually what it's like when it's tense. They were pulling it as tight as they possibly could there. But it looks slack.
Yeah.
But it's not, because it's steel wire. That's what it does.
Yeah.
So I'd like to tell you that's not a mistake. Sure there. Oh, into everyone's favourite location, the Bleeding Tunnels.
Can't have the moon base without tunnels.
No. We just sat there going, oh, aliens. We just got to do aliens. We've got to do running through the corridors. But this was a build.
It was.
Yeah.
And a horrible 2-day shoot. It was just, I mean, no one, bless him, no one complained. Billy never complained, but it's just horrid. There's like a stretch of tunnel, and they just keep going up and down it, and it's hot and uncomfortable and hurts your knees. And imagine all day in that thing. You know, the director's having to shout instructions down it. It's horrible. Beautiful planet. Look at that.
Cool shot.
And of course, everything that we use on Doctor Who gets cannibalised over and over again, because now the walkways upstairs for the corridors are now part of the tunnel set that leads into Totally Doctor Who.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I was filming with them this afternoon. I am in fact wearing makeup because I was filming with them this afternoon, and everything Ed Thomas uses just gets used again because he's brilliant.
The thing to remember with this show is that it's, there's a massive team that.
Yeah.
So many contributors.
What's interesting as well about the timing of this one is that this is the last one shot. And it's going out before later episodes that we've been working on for months. This was finished shooting in March. And here we are in June. So the turnaround it's the tightest deadline. We're actually, I mean, like I say, Gareth and Peter, you're seeing this for the first time because the effects were only completed about yesterday. It's now the very end of May when we're recording this, and this is about to transmit in a few days' time. And we are dubbing episode 9 tomorrow, which is just like 8 days before it transmits. So, I mean, it's all planned. This is all exactly as it was scheduled to be, but it's a bit scary. You sort of think, if we didn't like that effect, if we didn't like that music, if we didn't like that monster, we'd be a bit stuck.
Yeah, it's breakneck, isn't it? There's no... You don't have a lot of leeway.
Sort of exciting. But everything is so planned on this show.
Yeah, that's true.
When they're working on The Beast down in the pit, it's like we've all seen drawings of The Beast and past comment on them.
We've got such a great team. You trust those people, and you know that they will come up with those goods, and you'll be happy with that end result.
I mean, speaking as somebody from the art department, everybody in there loves the show and loves working on it and just pours everything of themselves into making
Peter,
it work.
I'll fill it up now.
Yeah, well, that's true, honestly.
I think you're all terrible, and I'm moving on. It is true. It is true.
It is. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but it is actually true.
No, I've never known, and I'm long in the tooth. I've not worked an awful lot of shows, and I've never known the devotion that there is to this. And that's really the word, devotion. It's like, 'cause you're a Doctor Who fan, aren't you, Peter?
I am, yeah.
Love your stuff. I remember when you're first getting emails off you, and you never say so straight away, with anyone, do you? And then you dropped in a reference to, I don't know,
queuing for Tom Baker's autograph
or
something.
You mentioned Fuse from the Deep in passing or something. You go, aye. Yeah. Another one on board. And it was brilliant. It's nice to know.
And Russell, do you know, were the huge cast, were they supporting artists, or were they...
I think because we had Paul Casey, who was our lead Ood, who was our lead everything, lead Auton, lead Cybermen. I think a lot of them were the Cybermen actors as well. I think that gave us a nice little troupe of men who didn't mind working hard. And who knew the drill,
Absolutely.
Could be choreographed and stuff like that. Oh, I love this sequence. Poor Mr. Jefferson. You can't have an outer space adventure with a noble death. Can you imagine they would have been chased through these corridors by Slitheen? We'd still be shooting it now. We'd be in Q2 going, one more take on that, please. Well, they would have been substantially bigger corridors, I think, but... It was a shame. It did have a Slitheen called Janine in it. Janine Slitheen.
It was another Slitheen family, wasn't it?
Yes, they were an offshoot. I can't remember what they were called. Hitheen or something.
Right.
But actually, it was a very interesting process because as the script developed, it got darker and darker. And I don't mean monster darker. I mean thematically darker. The concepts that are going on here. And they just started to jar. And actually, they were written seriously in places. They weren't knockabout daft Slitheen. They were unearthing their ancient god Abaddon. They believed that the beast in the pit was one thing. The humans believed it was another. So the Slitheen was secretly working to unearth their god who would free them from slavery. They were enslaved. They'd been enslaved far in the 43rd century. God, there's a whole backstory of a story that never was now. But partly they were just too comic. They were jarring with the rest of the show. And also, they sort of stole the show from the humans. It's like the humans were slightly upstaged all the way through. So we said, actually, we want... The whole story is meant to be about heroic humanity, climbing Everest and going to impossible places. So, sadly, they were knocked on the head. But the thought of them all running through the corridors, through the tunnels... They became possessed and covered in tattoos. That's right, wasn't it? That all happened. Hard work. Danny Webb has died. Lovely Danny Webb has... Danny Webb hasn't died. I mean, Mr. Jefferson's died. A great actor. Ooh, marvellous. Desperate to leave these tunnels. I remember spending a long time of this sort of wondering whether... We all wondered whether Toby should reveal himself as... Originally, didn't reveal himself as a villain until the very end when he's in the rocket. But the problem with that was that it came a little bit out of the blue. You sort of got to the rocket and you went, oh, right.
I see.
Yeah, it was this. Now you're much more interested in Toby all the way through the rest of the episode. Now you're watching him, you see? You're like, it's great when they stop the Ood later on and he hugs Rose and you're like going, well, why is he glad they've stopped the Ood if he's the devil?
Can I just say, how cool are those corridors?
Did you go and run up and down them yourself?
I did, yeah. I think everybody did. Yeah.
They are good, aren't they?
Bolt gun in hand. And that's... mostly the work of a chap called Al Roberts, who's one of our set designers, working with Edward Thomas, of course. And, he just did the business with those corridors.
He built the guns.
And actually designed them, and what he does is actually build them in card, miniature versions, incredibly detailed, so that the builders the set builders actually have that to work from.
Oh, brilliant. They'd be worth a penny as little miniature card versions of guns.
Unfortunately, all the cardboard versions usually get trashed.
You say that,
set,
Peter, I'm checking your
unfortunately.
briefcase.
Yeah.
Smuggling them home. Lovely. That bolt gun took a lot of writing in. It had to be written in backwards, you had to work out what happened in the rocket at the end and then go backwards. So very early on the script, you get Zach going, I've got a bolt gun with one bolt. That's your best bit of design, I think, Peter.
You think?
Look at that.
Pure black.
The black one.
There must be something yellow coming up. A special offer on yellow this week.
That's studio, isn't it? It's like he did a bit of abseiling.
He did a bit up in the quarry itself, but then we did some up in Studio One.
Yes. I bet he goes over the edge.
That's right.
He really was abseiling off a bit of quarry.
Yeah, he was.
At night. How mad.
How mad.
God, how do we do these things? But this is now suspended against a pitch black. We did have, my favourite memory about this episode is working out what was at the bottom of this pit, because we did go through 27 drafts, as we always do. And we had a brilliant dinner in Cardiff with Matt Jones at Woods in Cardiff Bay, where I was sitting there going, so what is at the bottom of this pit? And because, I'll tell you why, because we hadn't allocated any money for a CGI monster in this at all. So we couldn't do it. And we didn't have any more prosthetics money because we'd spent it on the ood. So if you can't have a rubber monster and you can't have a computer monster, what the hell are you going to have?
Wow.
So we sat in this meal going, and I was, it got all like surreal, like when they used to go upstairs in Wolfram and Hart and Angel. And I was sitting there going, well, a little girl? Did they go down there and find a little girl? Or an old man in a chair, like the Keeper of Traken? And at one point I was going, it's an eye. It's a giant eye. Because that way, we'll superimpose David against a giant eye. And that way, we'd only have to have an eye. We'd put a bit of makeup on the eyelid. And that's it. And it was just absurd. And in the end, we were sitting there going, we came up with a brilliant monster that wouldn't be expensive. Actually, we could have used at the end of Series 3, so I won't go into that. But, there was one idea, and I was sitting there going, no, that's the end of Series 3. We can't use that idea. And it was a nightmare. It was genuine. A little girl, I kept on saying. He finds a little girl, one of those sinister science fiction little girls who's saying, so you've come to discover the secret of the universe. Like that. Die, Doctor. Which would have been the most terrible thing in the world. It would have been like an episode of The Avengers. Just surreal. But then marvellously, that's what I know what is so good about all of us working so closely together. A couple of days after that, Will from the mill came up and said, I hear you might need a monster at the end of episode 9. And I go, no, we can't, because we can't afford it. And he's just fantastic. He goes away, juggles the sums. We lose various bits, lose a bit of spaceship if we do this, lose stuff off other episodes. Look, if we can trim back a bit more on 11, lose some stuff from the end of 13. Plus, he says, I'm employing... And it's good because it helps him, because he's going, I've got 2 people who are 3D animators who build creatures, and I want to keep them on. Mm-hmm. So if I can provide 2 weeks' work for them, that helps the mill. And you just balance stuff. It sounds boring to describe, but it's a great process. You balance stuff until suddenly you come back with a department who are willing to build the beast. Mm-hmm. They sort of say, we can do it, we can set fire to it. On budget, no extra money. Personally, I still would have preferred a little girl. I think it would have been fantastic to have gone all that way. A little Welsh girl. Hello, Doctor. So you've discovered my evil plan. I shall escape from this world. We sat in this restaurant going, a little girl. It's a little girl. However, we didn't need to do it in the end. We were saved. Can you imagine if Will hadn't said anything? Look at that. Beautiful.
That's cool. That is very cool.
Julie Gardner inspired a lot of that sequence. She wanted the abyss. She wanted to do the abyss, where he goes down in the abyss and makes a sacrifice. And we spent a long time trying to work out how we could get Rose on the other end of the radio instead of Ida's, which was the Doctor and Rose being separated. But strangely, it worked very well by Rose missing it in the end. And I just love it. From now on, it's one of my favourite shapes of a Doctor Who story, in that the Doctor and Rose get further and further. He's 10 miles down. She's there. He goes even further down. He falls down that pit, God knows, another 10 miles. Then she goes up in the rocket, and it was always meant to be like, we kept on talking about Last of the Mohicans, where Daniel Day-Lewis is saying, I will find you, where they're separated by great distance. And but in terms of getting distance, taking off in a rocket is not bad. It's huge. Zach is finally out of his control centre now. He's like going, You should be hugging other people, saying we're there. Look at that, Gareth.
Fantastic, isn't it?
You can't think when you, because I remember the footage of that when you're looking down on that shot. Although it's got all the vans, you know, on the edit. You said that shot that has all the canyons added. There's just everyone's vans and everyone having tea in the background.
But when I read these originally, I think, where am I going to find this? We'll scribble about, we'll find certain elements of it, and then from there, the mill just completely take over and just create the most fantastic.
They do, but it would be nothing without your quarry in the first place. That we praise them too much, the mill. Keep them mean, I say. Gareth is a slightly shade of pale at the moment because he's just read the next Christmas script and has handed in his resignation.
I have. I'm off.
How the hell do you do that? It's going to be marvellous, isn't it?
It's going to be epic.
That is the word. God help us all. I might just go on holiday and let you film it. Good luck, I'll say. Good luck and wave you farewell.
Cheerio.
What a teaser! Ha ha! We should say no more. Apart from Gareth closing off half of Cardiff.
Oh dear. but saying that, they're great. The support that we get, not just for that episode, but for the whole series. Cardiff completely behind us. Not just Cardiff, wherever we go.
It's quite astonishing.
The public, the authorities, the public, the support we get is absolutely fantastic.
And in your experience as a locations man, it is different for Doctor Who, because I think so.
Completely different, yeah. I mean, once you say the word Doctor Who, everyone's got a tale about their nephew who loves it and locks himself in the bedroom to watch it, so if any visitors come around, they don't bother him. You know,
that's strange.
And everyone,
35-year-old nephew.
Everyone really wants to help.
But it is, though. It's extraordinary.
It is. And to a fact, when we are filming, we're trying to keep it a little bit quiet to what we're doing, because we do get such attention from people and well wishes, just people wanting to help us out. But sometimes it can be a hindrance when we're trying to keep a story under wraps.
Yes, very difficult. Nightmare sometimes. Shot for the dads, Phil Collinson always used to call this bit with Billy being hoisted up. Shot for the dads. And now we are in...
I think we go back to the old Sycorax ship.
Clearwell Caves.
Clearwell Caves in the Forest of Dean.
Absolutely.
When we were looking for the cavern and we decided to go back to the caves, it's such a hike, sort of half a mile underground, and you could just see the fantastic crew that we've got. Their faces just drop in as we put them on a minibus. We didn't tell them where we were going, and they realised that we were taking them back to Clearwell Caves.
Did you? It's a surprise.
It was a surprise.
Fantastic. Because it's difficult to shoot in, isn't it?
Because when we were there originally with Christmas, we were down there for a week, so it wasn't so bad. We went down there and we shot down there for 4 days and then brought all the equipment back out.
Yes.
But for this, I think it was just 1 day, so it was get everything down in the day, shoot the day, which is a very, very, very full day anyway, and then get all the gear back out in the same day.
I never quite understood why we couldn't do it in a corner of the quarry, but there must have been a good reason.
I'm sure there was.
Yes. If you look at it, you could be in a quarry at night now, but instead now we're in an actual cave, but it's easy to say. Look, millions of miles.
Am I right in thinking that the interior of the rocket was filmed at an angle?
Yes,
it was,
the set is tilted, isn't it?
I think it was, yes.
It's to get that, there really is that feel to it. It is also, the interior of that rocket ship is some of the best grading. I think those episodes are all beautifully graded, but and it's a lovely set. Hand on heart, it was a bit creamy yellow, plasticky. It wasn't the best colour in the world, and it has literally been coloured. This is, while the faces are intact, all the walls of this have been coloured in post-production, and beautifully so. It was a little bit IKEA before. Look at the ship.
Wow.
We had lots of ship discussions, didn't we?
We did.
Tails and tall and thin and the fins. That's what I kept nagging about. It was.
I think it was make it the most rockety rocket you've ever seen.
That was what I said.
Yeah.
Yes. I always had in mind, Tintin. Tintin goes to the moon.
Yeah.
Not the colour of that thing, but the shape of that is so.
That's the whole pioneer thing as well, isn't it? You wanted it to be, it's they're on the edge kind of thing.
Oh my God, you haven't seen this, have you?
This is
I'm sorry, I'm actually going to shut up now.
I should be quiet.
I'm just going to watch you.
I don't say anything now.
Imagine if you're horribly disappointed. Imagine if it's a sock puppet. Oh my Lord, no, it's a great big thing. He's got his head down. Look at that. Entirely animated. Oh my God. It's astonishing, isn't it? He's got chains on his horns, look. Holding the head back.
It's like Phil Collinson after a budget meeting.
As it is, Phil Collinson. We did run out of that CGI money. Not bad, eh?
Not bad at all.
Because you
That'll
did, Pete.
do.
You sent me devil drawings, didn't you, as well?
Yeah, we had a couple of devil concepts getting thrown about. So it's incredible to actually see the final. You know, it's always a massive thrill.
It's not bad, your job, is it?
No.
I laugh.
Yeah, it's all right.
It is good. I love when I get sent these brilliant bits of artwork. You know, it's like, and we have these ridiculous conversations. A bit more teeth.
Yeah.
Should he be like Simon Bisley? I went on about with this. Is an artist for because some of the initial drawings of this, the mill did some drawings. They were quite effete. It was quite a thin man chained up. Yes, and you're like going, oh, and I was going on about Simon Bisley, who used to draw Slain in 2018, who goes into warp spasm. Has just got lots of muscles, not sexy muscles. It was just weird,
dirty muscles.
Yeah, dirty
not like
muscles.
That. No,
You're speaking my language, Peter. Look at that, though. I can't. I can wait till see the end and he starts burning. It's just amazing. This was, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying so, a horrible day for David Tennant. Because it was down to those caves. It had very little time, actually. Was it just one day?
It was 1 day, yeah. Which again, because we went to Clearwell Caves, we lose an hour travelling there. So it puts the pressure on David and the team in general. And they've got still got the same amount of material to shoot.
Yeah.
But in 2 hours less, really.
Yes, this is many, many, many pages.
And on top of that, you've then got to get all the equipment down, so you lose him an additional 40 minutes either end of the day.
And of course, he's like, look at that tongue. And he's talking to a green screen. You know, that's actually quite a small little bit of cave with two rostra with 2 jars on, acting all on your own, down in the dark, and the clock was against them, was horrible. And he's brilliant, of course. It's the only day really I remember worrying about saying, does that work? Is it good? Have we got it? And we did. You know, you get the rushes the next day and you go, do not fret, it's just fantastic. And knowing as well that they'll add that devil in afterwards. And yeah, they are being separated by millions of miles. Marvellously, a friend of mine did inform me about 3 days ago, just 3 days ago, that black holes don't suck things in and you can orbit round them.
What?
This was a fascinating fact. But obviously,
Since when?
That is what 21st century science thinks. In the 40th century, they've discovered that's completely wrong. That's true, apparently, though. There is no... It's like a Walt Disney myth that they pull everything in.
It's a special black hole, this one.
Yes, it's a McKinstry black hole.
Yeah, thank you. Okay.
It's going to be called that forever now. I'm in charge here, and it's like this is known as a McKinstry black hole, whose event horizon has folded within itself, and therefore pulls everything in within a radius of 5 million miles, and that's a fact because I said so. Look at him acting away.
Yeah.
It's another thing, and people don't realise it is literally a green screen and 50 people watching you.
Yes,
and just a bit of canvas, and it's fantastic the reactions that he's.
That is the weird thing you forget is the crew watching.
Yeah.
It's like there's people having a cup of tea. It was very funny on the rushes this and in the edit because when you're editing this, you just see the green screen and the people having their cups of tea.
Cups of tea and a donut. And
This was also very tricky. I've just remembered that because this is very rare, but because this was shot last and very close to transmission, we had to lock all the effect shots. We had to edit all the effect scenes before we'd edit the whole episode. And that's a really weird way to do things because you should edit the whole thing and feel the peaks and drops and the rhythms and stuff like that. But actually all of this stuff, oh my God, and Julie Gardner would tell marvellous stories about literally being in the BBC at 3 a.m. with this stuff, saying how long should David look at the devil for? How long is that shot of the devil?
Yeah.
Should we, if the devil laughs, should we give him 1 second? Should we give him 4 seconds? And you haven't got a devil ready. You've just got to guess. And it was 3 a.m. and we sat there with pizza and, you know, just rubbish food. And we're like going, is that right? Lock. You lock it frantically and send it off to the mill. So it was like, desperate. But it worked.
It does.
And you can actually then, once it's all edited together, go back and slightly tinker with those. It's not as hard and fast as that. You can have a little edit afterwards, but hard. He's got 80 pages of dialogue, hasn't he?
Pages and pages. It was that, you know, the whole day was devoted to this, really, and it's just...
They didn't have time to get the drawings on the wall. You did the drawings on the wall, didn't you, Peter?
Yeah, we had cave paintings,
Cave
didn't
paintings,
we? Yeah.
that was you. I fussed about them, didn't I?
Well, we have to get everything right, you know.
You will get an email off me.
And if you did miss them, I think they're still there. We at the request of the owners, I think we left them on the walls.
Were they?
Yeah, they've
Really?
they can get some tours.
But we painted them on there at Clearwell Caves. We didn't really shoot them. So actually we then had repainted them on a bit of fake wall
They can
in
actually
studio.
see them, yeah.
So look at that. It's just brilliant, isn't it? Oh, here we go. Talk about an action-packed ending now. It's like it's funny because it's the biggest and most science fiction we've ever got. You know, having a spaceship flying through the air, flying through a black hole. Look at this. But at the same time, it's the most mythological we've ever been, with a devilish beast tucked away in the heart of a planet. You never get plain science, not while I'm here. And I'm riding with you. Look at it. And it starts to burn. Oh, how are we supposed to talk over this now? He does that raw gesture. That is funny. And here's a very weird bit of Doctor Who. Oh, a bit of Doctor Who lore here in terms of working out how to kill them both at the same time. Because I think Rose does a really interesting thing here. It's like, as a Doctor Who companion, she could never pick up that bolt gun and shoot Toby through the head. But she can pick up the bolt gun and shoot the window and undo his safety belt, which therefore allows him to be killed. It's like, it's a real fine line as to... I mean, it would be horrible. At 7 o'clock at night, you couldn't have your hero turn around and shoot a bolt gun through someone's head, because presumably that would work. That would kill him. But you need the whole element of sacrifice, and she thinks he's going to kill them all. And look at that. Wow. He's just dying now. Look at that. Amazing.
It's brilliant.
Absolutely amazing. A lot of air on board that rocket for it to stay in for so long.
Yeah.
But in the 43rd century, they had micro air that allows that to happen.
Works for me.
Thank you, Peter. Peter's backing me up here. Amazing.
I'm too gobsmacked to back you up, Russell. It's fantastic.
That's my job. Sitting here making up nonsense all day. It's interesting. I puzzle about the ending. Look at this. I'm sorry. I can't talk.
I may be wrong, but I think smoke effects like that are like one of the most difficult things you can do, and to get it looking
like
so
that.
beautiful.
And there is no, it's not a man in a suit. It's
No.
it's CGI. It's just stunning. The poor Ood, they die.
Pity dude.
Pity the Ood. Ida's dying. It's all a nightmare. And who remembers that the TARDIS is down there? I'm in two minds about this. If you forget the TARDIS is down there, then it's brilliant. If you've been spending the whole episode going, that's where the TARDIS is, then it's not much of a twist. I like it, though. I don't care. No, you're not dying. Happy ending on its way. Have no fear.
How do they put the shakes on, Peter? Was the rocket built with the with the vibration, or are they just the crew gently rattling it?
Camera shake.
I'm sure it's camera.
I think that's done in post-production.
Yeah, they can do it digitally now, can't they?
Yes. In fact, the version we're watching has a bit more shake to be added on. You might like to know. It's got a bit more than that. I always had my doubts about this, and I wanted to cut to... We were very short of spaceship shots, having spent all the CGI money available in the West on this sequence. So I wanted to cut immediately to see the ship sailing, because I think there's a danger that you think they've gone into the black hole, and it is like Walt Disney's The Black Hole, and they're like in a heavenly realm.
Yeah.
Because you spend like 2 seconds thinking, oh, they're on the event horizon. There'll be white clouds outside and angels. And no. There's the TARDIS.
Hey.
Beautiful. Nice stuff. Who we love. I'd like to bring her back, actually. You know, at the end, the doctor says, see you again, I hope, or something. And I think she's lovely.
You keep adding these little twists, and they come back and haunt us in scripts just further down the line. You see, we think we've seen the last of them. And
yes,
they're dead and buried, and then you pick up another script, and oh, no.
And Louise tucks away all her costumes.
Yeah, that's right.
We finished with Claire Rushbrook now. Then I go, actually, remember those spaces? Remember that character? We'll just bring her back. No, there are no plans to bring her back, but it's one of those nice little one-day things. I think they got on a treat, those two. Look. The happy ending. And we're into the very last scene shot for the series now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, this is the last day on set on board the TARDIS.
It was the rap party after this.
It was.
All goes a bit blurry.
I know, yes, I remember, yes. We were talking to that, but I went home early then. I thought, don't lead me astray. their last day on that. This is the TARDIS set was in the Q2 studio, and after these scenes, it was taken down and moved. Now being rebuilt.
Yeah.
Is it built yet?
It's
nearly there.
Yeah, nearly there.
It's finally going to have a door that leads off to the inside. Ed's promised me anyway. Don't know if he's lying to me. But that's our one request for the new TARDIS. Exactly the same, but with a walkway leading off to wardrobe rooms and things like that.
I think he's been for an MOT as well on the way, hasn't it? It's had a few little components tinkered with.
It's so huge when you see it, isn't it? When they take that console out in the middle. Because, of course, the Doctor and Rose were standing up on a platform. They were about 6 feet off the ground. So when you take all that away, the console towers above you. It's like this great big mushroom looming above you. Weird. Stuff of legend. Of course, there are terrible things being said to Rose there about dying in battle. But the Beast says to her that she's not going to live. She's not going to survive. What does he mean? Could it be true? Was he lying? You'll just have to keep watching. But nothing else that the Beast said in this episode to anyone about their fathers or their backgrounds or running away from Daddy or Jefferson's wife, nothing else the Beast said was a lie. So that's interesting. He said.
Fantastic.
Keeping you on tender hooks, as my sister always says. Not tender hooks, tender hooks. Anyway, hooray. Thank you, Peter.
No problem. Pleasure.
Thank you, Gareth.
Thank you, Russell.
Lovely stuff. There'll be a trailer running now. We can't see the trailer, but there is a trailer running now. But for next week, which is, the maddest episode in the world. It's the Absorbaloff.
The Absorbaloff.
The Absorbaloff.
That's really worth hanging around for.
Dalek bread.
Which he does not say at any point. Lovely episode. It's one of our favourites. Hooray! Thank you, Satan Pit. Love that.